All right, you primitive screwheads, listen up. I got news for you, pal. You ain't leading but two things right now. Jack and shit. Jack left town. Well, hello, Mr. Fancy Pants.
What was that ruckus?
What ruckus?
I was just in my office and I heard a ruckus.
Describe the ruckus, sir.
Does this mean we're not friends anymore? Not me. I'm in my prime. That ain't mine. Ain't it cool?
First you want to kill me, now you want to kiss me. Blow. Good. Bad. I'm the guy with the gun.
What up, everyone? DJ Anubis here with you on the Meltdown Radio podcast, doing a tier ranking of all of Devin Townsend's projects. Now, these are solidified projects, not like side things or demos or anything else. This is just main albums that he's worked on. It's not collaboration, so like I won't be including stuff with like James Murphy or Steve Vai or stuff like that, even though he's done stuff like that with other artists as well. But this is mainly just his projects. I know there's something called Dream Piece, which I didn't really include in this because he's got a lot of other stuff that's kind of similar in vibe. So mainly just albums that he's put out that are recorded as such, like legitimate records. Now, my introduction to Devin is my favorite artist of all time, which at the time I didn't know he would become, was back in the 90s as I was reading through one of the Metal Maniacs magazines or Pits, and they had an article on him and talked about how, you know, some of the stuff that he was going through personally, you know, kind of put him in a mental institution. At least that was what the claim was at the time. But he was struggling. You know, the first time I'd actually seen Devin was actually a few years earlier, not knowing who he was at all, but for the video they did for Steve Vai, you know, and he was a singer during that particular album for Sex and Religion. So I kind of knew of him, but nothing beyond what would become the monster that is Devin Townsend. And, you know, when I first started reading about him, I kind of got really interested. And then I saw at the end, they had like, what was this fan spotlight? And this young man had all the shit from Devin, like that he had at that point. And, you know, as far as like some of his projects that, you know, this is like early to late 90s. So, I was aware of Strapping Young Lad, which is what was talked about a lot. And this is around the time that City got released. I hadn't even heard Heavy's a really heavy thing. So with City being out, you know, I saw this kid's article. I thought, wow, that's kind of cool. You know, he's got all these different records. I didn't even know Devin had all this other stuff. And, you know, when I got this VHS cassette of like a compilation, I forget if it was Century Media or something, probably. They released a video for Detox on there, and I immediately fell in love with that song. So through that, I kind of got into picking up City, and then, you know, the little EP they had live at something that was for Australia, I think. But you know, after I checked out Ocean Machine and then Infinity, so he had some of his other work out there I just kind of really fell in love with right away. And so he ended up becoming a big fan of his, obviously. So here we are, you know, a couple of decades later, and he's got so much material out there, and he's got so many different things that he's doing. So unfortunately, Strapping Young Lad is no more. and that's unfortunate because I really love that project a lot. I love the aggression and the passion behind it. But if you follow Devin long enough, you know that the way that he conveys his feelings through his music, whatever is motivating him at that time. And a lot of times now, he's not as angry at the world as he once was. He's got a wife and a child and stuff like that. So right now, he's at like a place of zen. Now, I know with the latest record, there's something else going on that I haven't really been caught up on, so I don't know what is inspiring power in there, but apparently it's a kind of a dark place again. I'm hoping for the best for Mr. Townsend, obviously. I just don't know any details. I don't follow him as closely as I once did. As being my channel, I'm always engaged with music, so I'm always checking out new stuff, and it's hard to keep up between this and the other party entertainment that I bring on the Metal Tavern channel. So whatever is going on, I hope the music that he's making is cathartic and helping out, and of course the support from his family would be important as well. Now, Devin is very, very talented as an artist. He does a lot of many different things, brings a lot of different things to the table. He incorporates a lot of different things, whether it's the Devin Townsend band stuff, the Devin Townsend project stuff, the regular Devin Townsend stuff, or Strapping Young Lad. He's just incorporating a lot of different things. So as I go along with these rankings with Tier Maker, I'll explain a little bit about my feelings on the record. Try to give you a breakdown a little bit of what's going on in the record in terms of the talent that he's added in. And of course, I'm just going to go in the order that I have them on the little piece of artwork that I have for the tier as we go along. I'm not going to do them in any particular order. But I did want to also showcase a friend of mine who, I'd always been talking about Devin for years, like many years, even before he became like a really big staple. Like I would say about mid 2000s when people really started paying attention to him. For some of us other people, fans, we've been there since like close to the beginning. And that's pretty much where I kind of consider myself as close to that beginning. And so, my friend Jason did a nice little thing I didn't even know was going to happen. He contacted Devin and had him send me a message. This was a message to, of course, parallel a little bit of Devin's life. He as he was going through the industry early on, he had to bunk and share housing with other band members. One of the main staples of his time with Strapping and some of the other projects was Gene Hogan. Gene Hogan of Dark Angel and Testament. So the drummer, has played on a lot of his stuff. They're really good friends. And so when my friend Jason told Devin about the story where we helped Jason out for a time period when he was staying with us and trying to get his feet on the ground, and he's doing quite well now. Very proud of him, no doubt about it. He's married. I have yet to meet his wife. He's been off in Korea right now, I think, North Korea, I think, as he's in the military. But I hope he's doing well, being safe. And but I'll always remember this because he went above and beyond. This is something that I couldn't even imagine of thinking about doing. I'm not someone who really bothers artists if I can help it. But Devin, I've met him once. I met Devin in probably 2005, and most humble dude you'll ever come across. Signed my shirt at the time. I actually gave that to Jason at some point. I can barely see the autograph, but it was there. But Devin was a very cool dude, very nice and humble, and took the time out to do that for me, which I'll always appreciate. But this is some really great words. Now, the thing about Devin, too, is he has a high sense of humor, and you'll see it through a lot of his music. As I kind of showcase, I'll be giving you like one song from each album that I'm ranking that's about a minute long. I'm just going to play a little clip from that song that I chose to play for you. But he has a sense of humor, and you're going to find that in some of his writing and lyrics and stuff. And he's just a fun guy. He likes to look at life on the silly side. He's never taken metal super serious. But he does a really great job when he does. And so we'll talk a little bit about that as we go along. But first, I just want to pass along this video that my friend Jason did for me. It's only a couple minutes, but it's very cool that Devin did this, and wanted to share it again since the first time I shared it, I kind of fucked up the audio. So let's hear Devin talk a little bit about Scotty. That's my middle name.
Scotty! It's Dev. I'm here on behalf of Jason, your good friend. And he wants to thank you for your support. What sort of support, you ask? He wants to thank you for letting him crash in your basement while he was getting his career off the ground. Did I read that right? I didn't read it. I knew it. I could tell. Why they wanted a cameo. Our biggest connection is Devin's music, from SYL to Punky Brewster to DTP and the solo stuff. So, Jason and Scotty. Interesting how this all comes together, isn't it? In the Devin Townsend project, the last, band, I guess you'd be familiar with that. Beav, the bass player, has been one of my closest friends since I was 12 years old. We used to jam in his garage, and his dad used to yell at us for playing. And I remember when I was trying to get DTP off the ground, when I was trying to transition my life from, we just had a child, and everything was kind of reorganizing itself psychologically for me. Beav let me stay on his couch when I was in town rehearsing. And I think he didn't recognize how big of a thing it was for me. But just having somebody that was willing to have my back when it came to something like that meant more to me than I'm emotionally mature enough to express. So I would imagine, Scotty, that Jason feels the same way towards you. And maybe one day when he creates a multi-billion-dollar enterprise in the metaverse, he would say, Scotty, you can sleep on my couch. You can't have any of the food, but you can sleep on the couch. This is my hope for both of you, that you will be couch swapping forever. That is an awful thing to wish on somebody. Regardless, my friend. Scotty, thank you for your support. Jason, thank you for your support. Scotty, Jason loves your balls. And you guys take care of each other. And thank you so much. And yeah, see ya.
And there you have it. The man himself, Devin the fucking Townsend. Wonderful guy. Without a doubt. So I'll pull this up now. This is my tier. Okay, these are the different tiers that we're going to be working with, and you can see that it goes from best to good to decent to okay. Now this means that there isn't a poor record out there. All it really means is that there are records that I favor a bit more over other ones for different reasons. And I actually had to go back and listen to some that over the last decade that, because Devin, Strapping on Lions no more. Devin is done with that project, as I said before. So he's kind of gone into this other realm of still mixing rock and metal a little bit here and there. We'll hear different tracks where he kind of plays around with different sounds and stuff like that. But for the most part, the guy is just kind of pushing in different directions. I think he actually recently announced that he's planning on doing like a Broadway type of play show or musical or whatever, which is very funny because there's another friend of mine named Chili, who I think has talked to Devin occasionally in the past, had been talking about, when you listen to Devin's work, even going back to like Ocean Machine, you would say to yourself, this could work on like a stage play vibe or presentation. And so it's not a shock to me that Devin is now kind of going in this direction a little bit, because he's always dabbled with like, choirs and mass, musicians, instrumentalists and whatever, symphonies, if you would call it. So he's always played around with this kind of ideas and touring and different projects. So him doing a musical of sorts, if that's what he's going to do, is not a shock. And we've been kind of calling it for a while. He's certainly smart enough and intelligent enough to create this kind of thing. And, we're all here for it. But today we're here to break down basically how I would rank his albums in terms of just me. Now, obviously, anybody can do this. This is on my public page. I'll leave a link to the site that you're seeing here. So for the rest of you that want to rank them yourself, you can do that and then save and show off where you put them all. But this will be my ranking. And so again, there's no bad record here for me. It's just that there are some that I don't listen to as often. You have to be in the right mindset to do it. Devin does everything from like rock, metal. We'll find out he does some blues, and ambient. He's experimental in a lot of ways, even punk, which we'll kind of have fun with. So yeah, let's get moving on this. So pull up my thing here on this side, and so we're just going to go down the line here. So from right to left and so on. And so we'll start. There's no real order here, but we're going to start here with the first one. It's on my list. If I can find out where my list is. There it is. And yeah, okay, so we're good there. All right, so yeah, so the first one is this project called Casualties of Cool. It's the only record so far he's done under this name, and it's basically consisting of himself and a singer named Shay Amy Dorval. And if I'm correct, and I'm not entirely sure, so anybody else can correct me on the details, but I think she actually appears on the song Genesis at some point as well, I think, because he does show like a picture of him and her from this record while they're playing a certain kind of a piece of music that you would hear on this record as well. This is an album that's kind of influenced by country, blues, rock, and ambient. And so, but it's not a record I go back to mainly because I'm not a big country fan. I do like blues a little bit, but not enough to sit there and say, yeah, I'm going to listen to this all day long. So, yeah, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to put this in the okay box. And again, not a bad record, but in terms of how I would rank it, it's going to be in the okay section. And now I'm going to give you a little bit of taste. It's about a minute long for each clip that I'm going to give you, just to give you a taste of what this album will sound like to you. And this is off a song called Moon. And so there you have it. Casualties of Cool. All right, so now the next one up is, of course, Epicloud. And what year was this from? I'm trying to remember. 2012. And one thing about Devin that you'll find with some of the records within the last 15 years is that he's done a lot of work with singer Anneke van Giersbergen, who was the original singer of The Gathering. That's also kind of funny because that VHS cassette I talked about also had the song Leaves, a video for Leaves on there. And I kind of like got into them at the same time. So kind of funny that they end up working together, but they work together on a few different records, and it's really cool that they did that, and they have a good working relationship and whatnot. So she's a wonderful singer. She's doing a lot more of her solo stuff and some other little projects, but she's got a great voice. And you're not going to hear it on the clip that I have, but she certainly appears on this record as well as Addicted. So we're going to put this one, which for the most part, this record is very decent. I don't listen to it as often as most, but it's still going to be up there in a good section for stuff that I will listen to a little more than casualty. So Epic Cloud, and this is a song called Whoa No, and this has a little bit more edge to it than some of the other songs on there, but I wanted to mix it up a little bit, so Whoa No. And there you have it. So, all right, continuing on. Next one up. This is one of two albums that Devin did under the name Devin Townsend Band. And so this is called Accelerated Evolution, released in 2003. Not one that I would listen to on a most. It does have like, two or three to four songs that I really do like. But again, those particular songs I don't really listen to on the norm. I believe it was also the record where he did like this little bonus record called Echo, and it was like three or four ambient experimental songs that I just really didn't get into much. But the record itself does have singing in it, and it's got some cool shit. But again, not something I'm listening to more of some of the other projects that he has. So this one's going to go into the OK. And the song that I've chosen to play for you is called Random Analysis. All right. So there you have Random Analysis, and now it brings us down to Sanchestra. This is actually the second record of the two that appeared for the Devin Townsend Band. I actually like this one a lot more than Accelerated Evolution, which we just heard from. So this one always has, it's like from start to finish is very great. In fact, some of the clips I have are actual official videos. So the video I would give you for this will be an official one for the band. But this is going up to the top, without a doubt, one of my favorites of Devin's work. And the track I got for you is Vampira. It's where you're going to start to see for the first time Devin's goofiness, having fun, and just kind of letting loose while he's just playing, which is great. So I don't know if this was supposed to be like an homage to Vampira, like the Vampiria or whatever, the chick that did all the stuff back in the day, like Elvira and stuff like that. So I don't know if it's like a homage to that or not, but I know there's also like a comic, I believe, from Vampira. So who knows? Maybe Devin explain exactly what it is that kind of motivated that particular video. But here is Vampira by the Devin Townsend Band.
I must be strong, carrying on. Night follows me when you leave.
Okay. Rock and rolling. All right. Next one in line is DevLab. Now, this is Devin's first official ambient album. And he has like quite a few now that he's experimented on and adds in some ambient vibes into him. But I think he's gotten better as he's gone along. Like I said, like that little bonus disc Echo didn't really move me as much. And this one doesn't either that much. So when I play this clip from DevLab 3, which he's kind of just listed from DevLab 2, 3, 4, and so on, you're probably not going to feel like very impressed. But then again, there's, again, subjective. So there's some Devin fans or fans of Devin who might say, oh, I really dig this. This is cool. Anubis doesn't know what he's talking about. Again, no poor records. It's just some better than others. And so, again, I'm going to put DevLab now in the OK box. And we're going to move over to DevLab 3, which I will play for you now. And you'll get a taste of what's on this record. And there you have it. Next up, Empath, 2019. I will say this, because the clip I'm going to play for you is from the song Genesis. And if you're somebody who's not familiar with Devin Townsend at all, and you want a song that totally eclipses everything that he can bring to the table, this song will give you and tell you everything you need to know about Devin Townsend, top to bottom of the video and whatsoever. It's a great video. It's got cats. That's a winner. But it gives you a taste of every single type of music that he can add to his career, his albums and everything else. Everything is like, it's almost like a compilation of everything he can do and brings into it. So it's so perfectly melded. And I was right. Che Amy Dorville does appear in this. So in this particular song, I don't know if you're going to hear in this clip, but she does appear on this in this song, as well as Ineke as well. So again, more collaborations between those two ladies and himself. Well, he has a lot of other people, like Steve Vai does a lot of additional guitar work on some of his records. So that's kind of cool. They still have a friendship and a business friendship as well going over years. Now this particular record overall, not quite at the top for me. No bad reasons or anything like that. Just, but really Genesis is like the epitome of the best song on here. And so with that, we're going to put you into the good category. And then of course, here's a clip of Genesis.
Let there be light, let there be moon, let there be stars, and let there be you. Let there be monsters, let there be pain, let us begin to live again.
Yes, love it. Love it, love it, love it. All right, brings us to Infinity. This was released in 1998, and this was after I'd listened to City from Strapping Young Lad, his project there. And when I heard this, I was like, wow, this is like totally different. This is like, but it has the same energy. And, but it was structured differently musically and a whole different vibe, what I was expecting initially. So, and I think when I had read that story about the fan that they showcased on that magazine, was the fan said the same thing, is that he loves that Devin brings so many different things to the table. And when they say Devin can do anything musically, they're right. He can. He can just do just about anything there is. And the guy never stops progressing or growing. Like, he just continues to expand himself as a musician and an artist. So this is no different here. But yeah, so where did I put you at? We put you in the good category again. This was very close to being a best, though, because it just has a lot of great tracks on it for a solo record. And this is under his Devin Townsend, which most of his solo stuff is. But very good. And the track I got, of course, is the video for Christine, which is the opener. So here we go. There you go. All right. So we're going to 2022's Light Work. I did kind of dabble with the idea of playing two clips from this record, because there's a bonus album as well called Night Work, and there's a really great track called Star Chasm Part 2 on there, but I figured, what, Light Work is actually the piece of album that it was released, and so the other one was kind of like just an added bonus if you wanted to pay for it. But so I stuck it with just Light Work, and good album. Again, a little bit different, and it was addressing a lot of the struggles from the pandemic and stuff like that. So, but again, this is showing you a little bit softer side of Devin when it comes to his writing, because this is more recent work, and but still some very cool stuff in here. A lot of progressive stuff if you're a progressive fan. So the song I chose is called Heartbreaker, and so here we go. Oh, let me rank it first. Sorry, getting ahead of myself. I shouldn't be, but definitely am. This is definitely going to go under the good, solid record for sure. And here is Heartbreaker. There you go. All right. So now we're coming down to 2000's Physicist. And if I recall, this was the album that actually had Hoagland on it. Just going to double check. Yep. This actually was the entire Strapping Young Lads lineup for this record, but it's not a Strapping Young Lad album. However, you can definitely feel like the aggression that you would find on a Strapping Young Lad record, but it does incorporate a lot of his vibe from his solo stuff as well, which is really neat. Says, I'm just going through a little bit of a quip here from a physicist. Took several years to come to fruition. Townsend had previously played with Metallica's bassist Jason Newsted in a short-lived thrash metal band called IRE. I think I remember that. But outside of that, yeah. So this does have a little bit of the thrash influence into it that you would find in Strapping. But this record's great top to bottom. It was always one of my favorites of all time. Definitely going up into the best. And what track did I choose from this? Oh, okay, so Material. So if you heard a little bit in Genesis on that clip, I don't know if it's intentional again from Devin or not, but he incorporates like this, what I would say is a Star Trek sound. If you've ever heard a soundtrack to Star Trek, so like Wrath of Khan or whatever, you're going to hear a lot of that in this clip from Material, but I don't know if it's intentional, but it's so good that like it just automatically makes it think of Star Trek. And you know, Devin is nerdy enough to do something like that. So if someone knows like any detail about whether or not that's what Devin was trying to do when he did this stuff, just tell me. Like, I don't know. But it just certainly you'll hear it and you'll know what I'm talking about. So here it is for Material from the album Physicists. Cause you're beautiful. Yeah. Love it. All right. Now we're coming to this year's. It just came out probably a couple weeks ago, I think. Power Nerd, the newest release from Devin. My friend Jason had texted me about this prior to me hearing it. He's like, I'm not sure if I'm really feeling this record. And sure, I thought, because, like I said, Devin's him kind of going more like this Zen-like, calm, cool direction with his writing. So the aggression that I love so much about Strapping Young Lad isn't really there all that often. However, once I listened to Power Nerd the other day, it's number 2 in my top 5 of the week, by the way. I found that I did like it more than I thought I would. Like I didn't know how many songs I would like off of it because he does a little bit of everything. But it turned out to be a very solid record, and it actually is going to end up on my good list. Like it's actually very good, and that's a good thing. Like it shows me that Devin still has some of those metal roots. I know I'm trying to pull. I remember when the wife and I went to see Devin some years ago. He was doing just his regular. It was for Transcendence. He was doing a tour for Transcendence, and basically people were like, detox, play detox. Like that's what I would be doing. I was saying the same shit, and the thing is, Devin was very cool about it because, like, it wouldn't fit the vibe of what was going on with the tour. And I remember Gene Hoglan some years before that when they had come through for which album was it for? It wasn't Strapping, but it was like another Devin Townsend project. But Gene had come out into the waiting room, and so like I saw him. I said, "What's up, Gene? What's going on, brother?" And he's like chatting away. I say, you guys play really well, man, but I was kind of hoping maybe to hear some strapping. He's like, yeah, but it just wouldn't fit the vibe. And so I kind of got it, I understood. But the night that, this one for Transcendence, everyone's like, well, come on, play Detox. But Devin ended up doing a rendition of Detox, but it was like a very laid back, chill version. It was almost acoustical of it. So credit to him for like just improvising. And he didn't play like a full song, but he just played a little bit of it. And but he said, he did admit, he's like, I'm just, my headspace is in a better spot. I'm not as angry, so playing that stuff, it just would probably bring back sour memories, I guess. But the one thing I would say here is like, I'm glad Devin's in a better spot. I mean, my life isn't poor, my life isn't bad, but as far as my headspace is concerned, like I still listen to a lot of angry music because I'm still very angry about different things. I'm still dealing with past. I'm still dealing with depression and suicidal thoughts. I'm still dealing with this and that. And calmness has never really solved that. That's why religion never clicked with me. Like my parents growing up, religion just never does it. And I'm not saying that anybody who's into the faith can't do it, or if it's it's not important to them. It just doesn't do anything for me. So me being in a Zen spot just doesn't work either, because I need angry stuff. And so I wish, just by the power of gods, that Devin would come and just do another strapping record. Just take any anger he does have left and throw it in there and just give us something. We would eat it up. We would. But if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen, because he still incorporates some of this stuff into stuff like Genesis and like that. But I don't know. I do miss the strapping days because it was a lot of fun. But I get it. So here we are next with 2009's Addicted. This was, again, I think this was the first record he did where he had Aneke on it. Let me double check. I come to find out she's actually worked, her and Duvall have worked a lot with Devin on records since, his releases. So, she was on this record for a lot of different songs. Like one of my favorites is Awake. Great video for that, by the way, if you've seen the live version of that. A lot of fun. And at the time that Devin did Addicted, he actually did this as a 4-piece, and he kind of does this where I think Power Nerd's actually going to be one of 4 as well. I think he announced that it was going to be like part of a 4-album set. This was also, so you had Addicted, Kai or Key, Ghost, and Deconstruction. So there was 4 records he released in that year. And so very cool stuff. This one obviously kind of bends a little bit more on the kind of poppier side, and just kind of dance around, having fun. But there weren't quite as many tracks on this one that I liked as some of the other ones. But oh wait, we didn't do Power Nerd yet. Sorry guys, I'm skipping ahead here. I did rank it. So let's go ahead and play real quick before I jump into Addicted, which I've already been jumping ahead. I want to play Jainism from Power Nerd just to give you a taste. This is actually a video for that song off of Power Nerd. So here we go. I was talking too much. Lost my train of thought. ADHD, sorry.
Face
go. So now we can go in and rank Addicted, which I do have in the decent category. And from this, of course, I'll play the song Bend It Like Bender, which features Aneke on vocals. Very cool video, nice coloration, a little bit cartoonish, which is kind of cool. But here is Bend It Like Bender from Addicted. All right, and we're going to continue on here because we've got like a slew of records now. In fact, for the next 5 records, these are all, including the one we just did, these are all part of the Devin Townsend project. So just the way that it worked out in order. But so this one, next one is, we haven't even done the original yet, but we'll get there. But this is the sequel to Ziltoid the Omniscient. This is called Z2 Dark Matters. This is actually part 2. There's a part 1 called Sky Blue, which will be in this group at some point. But Dark Matters, this is like the second one. And I believe the track that I had selected is probably War Princess, I believe. But yeah, so this one, these were all going to be, I think, in our decent category. So I'm going to push this here. And then we're going to play a little bit from that called War Princess. Now, I'll probably explain this a little more when we get to the original Ziltoid, but this is all concept record here where you're dealing like this alien. Initially, it comes down to Earth trying to get the best, greatest cup of coffee, the greatest coffee bean. And for those that like to have fun with music, I could not recommend this highly enough for Ziltoid and Omniscient and some of these the sequel records Z2. If you just want to have fun with the lyrics and the little narrations that Devin does, Ziltoid even pops up on tour, and different things. So just so funny. He did some like promo videos with Ziltoid, the puppet. It's really ridiculous, but it's so goddamn fun. Again, it just showcases Devin having fun here. So this is called War Princess. So I need to also add, because I didn't even notice till now, but Chris Jericho appeared on this record as well as Captain Spectacular. Now, I don't know if he actually shows up on the first record or not, because we're talking some years apart here. But obviously, Chris Jericho is the singer and from Fozzy as well as the wrestler if you're into WWE and stuff like that. But very good band, all the way, Fozzy is. But again, looking through the personnel that worked on this with them, again, Anike's there, Aneke. Apparently on War Princess, they have a vocalist named Dominique Lenore Percy. I haven't heard of her before. Let me pull up her information here. See where I might have heard. Okay, band called Stolen Babies. Never heard them, but I might have to check them out. Looks like they pretty influenced by a lot of like weird experimental bands like Mr. Bungle, Cop Shoot Cop, and Fishbone. So that would kind of make a little bit of sense there. Okay, so on to the next, which is Deconstruction, which is again that 4-pack we're talking about, tied to Addicted. So Deconstruction, of the 4 records that were released during this time, is my favorite. It's very versatile. It's got some aggression. It's probably the most aggressive record of the bunch. And the song Deconstruction is wonderful. If you don't know, Devin's a vegetarian. He kind of pokes fun at that throughout the song. And when we talk about cheeseburgers, and I could tell you, like when they do live shows, sometimes you get this giant cheeseburger that comes down. It's pretty ridiculous. But as an album, it is one of the best you'll hear from Mr. Townsend, without a doubt. Again, showcasing so many different things. And we are going to play Deconstruction now. Here you go. Devin Townsend. There you have it. All right. We are now down to Ghost. And why do I not see it? Give me a moment, I don't know why I don't have it listed. Oh, there it is. Never mind. Losing my mind. All right. So now we're next to the album Ghost. Now this is entirely different, of course. Each album that he did, like Addicted was kind of like this poppy, pop rock, fun record. Deconstruction was a little bit more progressive, but heavy, a lot of heavy stuff. Julia was one of the videos. It was a great video, actually. Poltergeist is a great tune off of that. Ghost is like almost into this ambient that he likes to do, but he also added in flute and woodwinds from artist named Kat Eppel, who apparently is part of an old ambient band called Emerald Web, which I don't know. I might have to go check out their work. I've never really thought about going and looking up her stuff, but it's very beautiful. So, like, you know, the thing about Devin is, even if you're not into the heavier stuff that he does, there's a little bit for everyone when it comes to his music. You can do just about anything with Devin Townsend. You can pick up this record and go, wow, this is the most beautiful record I've ever heard. And then hear something like Alien, and you're like, it's like two different worlds. But yet you can still hear the signature Devin stuff in there. And that's the beautiful thing about his music. But obviously, I'm taking the kind of like the first single that he put out from this record. And so this is going to go into my good, because even though it's different than most, it's a very great stuff. It's a very chill record, and the musicianship is top notch in here. So from the album Ghost, this is called Feather.
Think about the time when all
Okay. So next up, again, we're sticking with the Devin Townsend project. We have the album Key. This was actually the first one that was released of the four. And again, this one does a few things differently on it. I would say this record kind of leans a little bit more folkish in some ways. It's, you know, I kind of get this vibe whenever you look at the album covers about what you're going to be dealing with. And so that kind of plays a part. But the song I chose, ironically, was called Train Fire. And one of the reasons why I really like this particular song is it's Devin kind of doing almost a, what would you call it, ska, kind of like Stray Cat strut type stuff. It's very groovy in that way. And then also he has like this ability in some ways to sound like Elvis Presley on this particular tune. Now, I thought I had heard through the rumor mill that the female vocalist towards the end was his wife, but it looks like it's actually the vocalist from Casualties of Cool, Duvall. And so I'm assuming that's probably her, unless it's just an uncredited vocal work. I thought maybe his wife had worked on that in there, but still very cool stuff. Maybe that's what inspired him to do Casualties from that. I don't know. But I don't listen to the record for the most part on the whole. So really outside of Train Fire, I don't listen to too much from the record. So it's going to go into the okay box. Still very cool again. Devin can bring you just about any type of music that you want. Every Devin fan will probably rank their stuff differently. There is no wrong or right, in my opinion. It's just a matter of your taste, of what you feel like at any particular moment. But here's a taste of Train Fire.
How in the world we gonna make everything alright? How in the world we gonna make everything inside? Train burning, all night burning, train fire up and down the line. Sexy 17-year-old, move me up and down the pole. Don't tell me what I need to know. So the train burns, all night burns, train fire up and down the line.
All right, now we're moving on to 2016's Transcendence, and again, wonderful record. Really showcases a lot. I really was happy about this a lot at the time it was released, but I don't know. When I say that, like, I miss some of Devin's angry moments with strapping and stuff like that, I do, but it's albums like this that, you know, showcase his want and desire for a better world, hope, positivity, inspiring people. And so you can never like hate someone for wanting things to be better and trying to give out a positive message in every way he can. And even in his set space, like, that's something he tries to do constantly. And you can't fault a guy for that. Like, you know, even though I still want some of this stuff to get angry about and say, gotta fight the power, you know, you gotta do this and this. He finds ways to kind of channel that into a more positive way. And so the clip I have for you from this album is Storm Bending, which is a wonderful video, and it actually showcases that a lot, and it's very touching. The musicianship in the song is fucking wonderful. Definitely one of my favorite tracks on the record. As for the record itself, it's going to end up on my good list. Not quite perfect, but certainly good enough to be close enough. So here is Storm Bending. Mm-hmm. All right. So now we're going back to Z2 again. This is the part one of Ziltoid Part 2, basically, which is Ziltoid sequel. And again, this one has a little bit of different stuff going on. This isn't so much part of the, part of the concept story, because it kind of goes in different directions with the music, almost like Addicted styled on here. And the song that I chose, of course, is Silent Militia, which is a very groovy track, very much up there with Bend It Like Bender and stuff like that. It has a Nikki on it, a neck on it. I hope I'm pronouncing her name right. I'm terrible at names. But this one, of course, as a whole, like these two records didn't really hold up as much as ones in the past for me, but going into the Descent, so it's right there with its companion piece. And here is Silent Militia. There you go. All right. So we're now back to some of the stuff that Devin did in terms of ambient stuff that, we talked about Dev Lab earlier. When it came to records like The Puzzle and Snuggles, it's Devin doing the ambient stuff again, but only kind of growing or progressing to a different level with it. And so I kind of like that it's a bit more chill. And it also shows the growth of him as a writer. And so I had to actually revisit these records because at the time, I guess at the time my headspace wasn't like feeling like I keep expecting the heavier stuff from Devi. And so when this stuff came out, I was like, come on, man, just give me some rage. But on hindsight, as I prepared for this, I went back and I listened, and I actually came to love these records a lot more than I initially had. So sometimes it's just, again, headspace, what do you want to hear? In this case, we're going to start with Snuggles, which is the first one up on the template here. And, I think it's a solid work for Devin here in terms of ambient vibes. And so it's going to get into the good list. And we're going to play Drifting and Dreaming, and sit back, lay your seat back, and enjoy the ride. There you go. That was a piece from Snuggles. Now, next record here is Tierra. I'm fortunate, my friend Jason, and he found a vinyl of this and got it for me. The nice guy he is, very swell. Fucking fantastic record. Top to bottom. The thing about this particular record for me, released back in 2001, is that Devin's very experimental, progressive in a lot of ways. There's also another record where Gene Hoglan showed up on. But this record, to me, kind of gives you a vibe on certain elements of in here, like the song that I'm going to play for you, where it's almost Pink Floydian. Like it's got a very Pink Floydish vibe in some cases. Again, maybe I'm just overstating that in some way because there's other songs that are much heavier, like The Fluke is a lot different. But Earth Day, there's just so many weird things he's got going on here. Again, showcases the many different talents that he does when he's writing. But this record is without a doubt one of my favorites in the catalog, and so definitely going up into the best territory. And the song I chose for y'all is called Mountain. All right. Next one on the list is 2006's Hummer or the Hummer. This again is more kind of like along of Devin doing experimental sounds and just kind of just throwing off the wall things at the wall here to create music. Obviously, try different things. Sometimes it's stuff like this though that I kind of get lost in the feeling that he's trying to bring. He's obviously very creative and very interesting, but if you like, just when it comes to Devin's work, he can, if you look at the stuff that I've already ranked, a lot of it has to do with either it's going to be totally mellow and chill, or it's going to be heavy and aggressive, even in the pop vibe, if necessary. Like it's just, you can tell the differences that I see with the music that he creates. So a lot of stuff that kind of falls on the wayside is stuff that I either just not that interested in for the most part, or I listen to on a very rare occasion. And Hummer would be something that really I can't tell you the last time I listened to anything from it. But again, I don't think anything that Devin does is what I would call bad or shitty or nasty. Like it's just going to go in the okay pile. But yeah, I'm going to give you a taste of that record. It's called Equation. There you go. And as I said before, some people will look at this and say, "Nah, it probably should be higher, lower, whatever." But that's why it's cool when I put the link up for this. People who want to participate in their own tier rankings can rank them however they want. You can tell me how much full of shit I am, or just say, "Hey, yeah, I get you, man. I feel you here with this, sure." Which brings us back to the puzzle, which is part of that Puzzle Snuggles concept pair of albums. And now we have the puzzle itself. Again, this is an album I had to go back and kind of re-listen to. And if he's doing the ambient thing, this makes a little more sense to me, as terms of if you're going to try to get my attention with ambient type chill sound. So obviously, in this case, it's going to go not quite as good as Snuggles to me, but it's very cool still, and I put it in the decent pile. And this particular track is called Shark in the Ice. There you go. All right. So we've talked about, Ziltoid part 2, basically, and we're going to finally meet up with Ziltoid the Missing in part 1. And I wanted to double check to make sure, because I didn't know. I don't see it here. So obviously, I think Captain Spectacular is being narrated by Devin himself. I'm pretty sure. Could be wrong. Now, the other cool thing about this particular record is the drum support is by Frederick Thorndal, who, if you don't know him, he's done some pretty crazy things musically as well. But Ziltoid is a concept album where I told you about the alien that's coming down to Earth, threatening to destroy the Earth if he doesn't get that perfect cup of coffee. And so, when Devin released this, he had like promo videos, stills. Like, I guess I should have went and found some to play for y'all because it's really quite hilarious. But he's a goofball, power nerd is what Devin is. But this record, from start to finish, is so good. And one thing I love about Devin's music is when you hear, like, particularly the song I'm going to play for you towards the end, you'll hear that same kind of sound that you would towards the end of the record on another song. So he kind of does callbacks. We talked about this, Neko and I, when we did our classic reflections, and we were reviewing the band They, and they kind of did something similar on their first record, which is always cool when a band does that. You just kind of work in your music to where it's calling back to another song or another part of the record. So it's always reminding you about the journey that you're taking with the particular record. So this particular record was Ziltoid. I believe this was 2007. I'm double checking here. Yes. And we're going to put you up in the best category because it's so good. And of course, we're going to go ahead and play Solar Winds, which is my favorite track from the record, next to the Grays. But here's Solar Winds, and you get to hear a little bit of the sort of narration singing that he's doing, portraying the characters for the concept of Ziltoid.
And we find there's no one that's waiting for the light to come, and we're all alone. And we find there's no one that's waiting for the light to come. On your own, find there's no one that's waiting for the light to come. I must rise.
Good word. All right, cruising along now. We're coming to Devin Townsend's Ocean Machine. Now, it's weird about this record is it's Devin Townsend, but then it says Ocean Machine Biomech. So I don't know if Ocean Machine Biomech is the entire title of the album or if Ocean Machine was supposed to be the name of the band or project. I never really found any clarification on that. But certainly this album is really fucking amazing. I have so much fun with it. And without a doubt, one of my favorites in the entire thing. It's a little bit different than some of the other stuff, but it again showcases a lot of the similar song structures that Devin puts forward. And so definitely going in my best list. And I chose, I believe, Seventh Wave as my clip. So here we go.
Running away together with only thoughts of finding always for the ocean to rise up beneath me as it rose up
All right. So now we're coming to the only album. It was actually the first record that Devin put out basically on his own in terms of going outside of the Steve Vai zone. And it was Punky Brewster, obviously based upon the name play off of the TV show and whatnot. But the album was cooked on phonics, and the whole concept, it's a metal punk rock concept album. And basically the band is starting out as a fictitious death metal band called Cryptic Corner. And even though you're not going to hear the entire song, like if you ever just want to have a laugh, especially at the beginning, the band starts playing at a pub. And as they're playing, some of the crowd is laughing at them because maybe they look ridiculous or whatever. But and of course you got the rough vocals like Cryptic Corner from South Central Poland or something was what he said. And basically as they're playing their song, that one of their strings break on the guitar. So he's like, I broke string. He's like, I broke string, trying to go back into character. And so anyway, that's sort of what happens. It starts out, the first song, Recipe for Bait, just kicks off this entire concept of this band that's had to change their sound to become make sure they didn't get mugged on stage, but then they became famous, and it pokes fun at a lot of the cliches about music in general in the industry. But as a whole, like outside of that song, I do not listen to this album all that much. But again, it's okay. But that song is one that I do revisit a lot. It's so fucking funny. So here it is, a taste of Punky Brewster with Recipe for Bait.
I broke a string.
Yeah, man, this looks bad. Hey, can you play a punk beat?
I think I can.
Those guys are gonna kill us, man. We gotta do something up here.
I'm not sure. Give me a second.
Can you try? I'm just gonna... Yeah, that's it. That sounds good.
How's that?
It's good. Just wait, I gotta tune up, man. Just keep going. I gotta tune. Okay. Now we need some bass in here, too. Hey, get that bass going. Oh, man, I don't like the way this crowd's acting. Just keep going, man. Keep going. Okay, I gotta put some guitar in.
I got it.
Okay, ready? Yeah. That sounds pretty good. Give me some bass. Come on, man, they're gonna kill us. Give me bass now. Yeah, I'm getting a feel for this. Hey, I think I'm gonna cut my hair. Whoa, Big Green Day. Let's go.
So there you go. All right, so we have 5 records left, and they're all Strapping Young Lad records. We're getting to the heavy stuff. And the first one here is, of course, Alien, which I remember back. You have to understand, after City, which was 1997, I think, or 96, Devin had decided he was going to disband Strapping Young Lad. And so his plan was never really to come back to it. But I remember saying to myself that if Devin took everything from like City and then incorporated the sound with like Ocean Machine and Infinity, he would come up with a record for Strapping Young Lad that would be a combination of everything that he does, and yet it would never lose its aggressiveness or its rage and everything else. And really, Alien encompasses all of that as a record for Strapping Young Lad. I'll get to it when I get to City, but as far as like these 5 records, this record is the best one of the bunch, from top to bottom. It doesn't necessarily mean I have my favorite song on it, but it is definitely the best album as a collection of songs. And the reason for that is because, again, this was the first one where basically Devin just took everything that he had to offer in terms of all his styles and just threw it into the mixer and was able to come up with like this brilliant record. And so this will, of course, go into my best list. And the great thing about this record, too, is when they did the video for Love, which is a clip that I gave you, it's an official video. And it's kind of iconic or ironic that we're in the Halloween season, because this video is where Devin and the boys played off of Evil Dead with the cabin and the whole thing with like the possession and everything else inside the video itself. So I don't know how they came up with the concept of time to do it that way, but the song has nothing to do with the Evil Dead. But it's such a good video and a lot of fun. And again, perfect season for it. I know we just did an Evil Dead franchise review with Kevin Lambert from the Entertainment Headquarters, and then Anthony Jordan from Gaming and Music, or Gaming and Movies, excuse me, just did his rankings of the Evil Dead franchise as well as individual reviews for those separate movies. So check those out if you have not seen those. But here from the album Alien, Strapping Young Lad, this is called Love. All right, there we go. Now we're coming to the first Strapping Young Lad record called "Heavy Is a Really Heavy Thing." This was released in 94? Released in 95. Yeah, so this was really right after Punky Brewster plus, I think, Steve Vai's Sex and Religion. So a little bit of a quote here about this. Townsend believed he had been a musical whore, spending the first 5 years of his career working at the behest of other people. During a brief stint as a touring guitarist for the Wild Hearts, Townsend received a phone call from A&R representative Roadrunners expressing an interest in his demos and an intention to sign him. It was ultimately rescinded by the head of Roadrunner, go figure, who regarded Townsend's recordings as just noise. What an idiot. He faced further rejection by Relatively Records, the label behind Vai's Sex and Religion, who saw no commercial appeal in his music. Century Media subsequently contacted the musician, offering him a contract to make us some extreme albums. So Townsend agreed to a 5-album deal. Now, it's interesting because as I get to the next record, you're going to kind of hear similar things being said here. And so, but we'll stay with this one right now. For the most part, this has a few tracks I do like, but not as much as the other records. There was a lot of growth with Devin over the years with strapping. Obviously, Alien was like the pinnacle of what his writing was for me in that way. But there's a great track on here. It's the one they did a video for called SYL, of course. And so this one here, as far as a record, it's only kind of like on the decent level for me. But this tune is very angry, and it showcases him bringing the heat, as we like to call it. So here's Strapping Young Lad with the self-titled song. There you go. So now brings us to The New Black, which was the last record in 2006 that he released under Strapping Young Lad. And despite saying that there was no rush to get the record out or anything like that, because he recorded it and then released it before they did the Ozfest tour that year. But I recall reading interviews probably a year or so later that Devin never felt like The New Black was sort of like his pushback on the industry for kind of force feeding, because this New Black record ended up being like his biggest commercial success with Strapping Young Lad. And I don't know, in some ways he kind of felt like that was either it's because that's what they wanted. Like somehow the label just said, you know what, you brought us all the heaviness, but now we want you to kind of bring heavy plus commercial. So it's almost like, you know, this is one of the problems with the industry in general, is that they want money, but when you're a metal label and stuff like that, we saw this with like Earache and Roadrunner down the line, where they started weeding out a lot of the heavier projects for the more mainstream new metal or whatever. And it's kind of irritating because, you know, those labels were big for the underground early on. And I know Napalm Death used to push back all the time on Earache about some of the mistreatment there on how they were dealt with Earache. And so I think Devin was sort of pissed off about what was going to happen with Strapping Young Lad. And he was just like, you know, I'm kind of done with this. So there was rumors that he rushed out the record just to get the deal, because it was like a 5-album deal, which he lived up to and just got it done. And I think people thought that's why it came out the way it was. Some people didn't like it because it was a little bit too commercial. I didn't think it was bad at all. I think it's still very, very heavy, has a lot of good stuff in it. So in that regard, like, but you can tell there is some anger at the industry itself. He even like sounds like fucker and like that, or just like, you know, basically spitting back at the industry, like, you want commercial, I'll give you commercial, here's commercial this. And so so that's basically when it came to The New Black, that was really what was happening with that. And now obviously some of that is also Devin was ready to progress in his mind as an artist beyond this particular phase for him. So, but as a record, The New Black, despite being the last one of the bunch, still ends up in the good territory for me. Still enjoy it a lot, and sure, that's where it's going to go. Going to play a song called Almost Again, to showcase more of Devin's versatility as a singer and writer. And here you go. I think this was an official video for them.
Almost again, I have
right. Getting down to the nitty gritty. Next album up is 1996's, or excuse me, 97's City. This was actually the first record I heard. Obviously, I talked about that VHS video that I watched. I had the song Detox on it. Immediately fell in love with that song, top to bottom. In fact, the clip I have of the song is my favorite portion of it. Now, as a total package, like it doesn't quite measure up to Alien, but I think that's because Alien did exactly what I want. Because there's a lot of stuff about City that I liked, but then there was some other stuff that I'm like, it's kind of missing a little bit here and there. Alien hit that on everything, and that's why I really liked that record the most. But if you were to ask me this day, whenever I've done my top 100 songs of all time, this one shows up at number one every single time. It has not changed. Don't know if it ever will. Even though my top 100 will vary depending on over the years. I haven't done one in quite a while, but I doubt that this one will ever be unseated as my favorite song of all time. It's just this portion of the song is so moving and it speaks to me in so many different ways. So from let's rank it. This is, of course, even though not best, it's definitely going up in the good list. A lot of good stuff in there. And here is Detox, a clip of that. Freaking. All right. Down to our last one. This is Strapping Young Lad, the self-titled record from 2003. This was when Devin and company came back from their hiatus. So basically, once they split from City to now, this is the album that was basically their comeback record. And from what I recall, Devin was inspired to bring back the project because of the events of 9/11, if I recall correctly there. And basically, this album, there's only like 3 songs I really like on it. Now, one of the problems that I have with it is that it's just a little bit too straightforward. Like, I love straightforward thrash, industrial thrash, but it didn't have the versatility of albums like City or Alien. And so when Alien came out, it was like just so much worlds better than this one. But this still had 2 or 3 solid fucking tracks on it. And so I think as far as like the album itself, it's going to go into decent category. It's not a bad record, obviously, and none of these records are. It's just kind of how I feel about where they are in my own rankings. You'll find that in the best and good section. Those are the ones that I will listen to the most in full. Whereas even though I have tracks from the other ones, it's just more or less the top 2 tiers that I listen to the most of any of his material. So that's where we are. That is my rankings. And I will leave you with a taste of a song called Aftermath from the Strapping Young Lad, self-titled. So there you have it. My Devin Townsend rankings. And yeah, that's where I'm at with this. Feel free, as I said, the link will be in the description box there if you want to go and rank the albums yourself. Please feel free to share with me where you came up with them and what you had out of them. I'm fine with that. What are your thoughts on my choices? Or how do you feel about Devin in general? I know there's a ton of fans now, more than there ever has been, which is great. I'm not one to get bothered when I have a favorite artist from growing up that, people start recognizing and saying, appreciating his work and who he is as an artist. And even that, the charismatic voice, the girl that does the videos, reaction videos, she reacted to Kingdom by Devin. A lot of people did for a while there a couple of years ago. And she liked it so much that she ended up interviewing Devin, which was awesome. I really liked that interview. She's a nice gal. And very good videos. If you never checked out her work, she's very, particular about how she narrows down the vocal work because she's a vocal teacher, I think, or singer. So just some good videos there. But the point is that more appreciation for Devin is great. And I really like seeing that when I look across the inner sphere for his work. So yeah, let me know your thoughts. It's been a joy doing this, and it was probably long overdue, but once Power Nerd got released, I kind of figured like it's time to do this and rank them. And so that's what I did. And appreciate you all checking it out. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. As for the rest of the week, tomorrow I'll be doing another action film autopsy with author Rick Myers, filling in for That Fat Samurai Guy for his channel there, doing that segment where Rick is going to break down some latest movies and TV series that he wants to review, and we'll talk a little bit about those things. Then later in the evening, Mr. Tony the Dead and I will be doing another Ghouls of Midnight. We'll be doing my pick, which is Dragon Slayer from 1981. And then Halloween day, during the day, I'll be interviewing Rick Myers, one-on-one, first-time interview with him, to sit down and just pick his brain and talk a little bit about his career, his career as an author and a person within the media. So it's going to be fun doing that. And then later in the evening at 8 p.m. Eastern, live stream, have a panel of guests that will be doing a review of 2008's Lake Mungo for the Halloween spirit of the night. And you want to come in and chat, give us your thoughts and theories on the movie, feel free to do so. But that's what is on the plate right now. And again, thanks for tuning in. Appreciate all the support, and keep it up. And see you next time on the Metal Time Radio Podcast.
Just before you die.